Welcome back to One Crack News. It's your boy Carcino here, and I only say this for one simple reason. This video is only to point out and enlighten certain, rather highlight certain aspects. Translation. You might have somebody who you think you got figured out. But what if you're wrong? Or whether you're partially right? A lot of people don't think about that. That they could be right, but they could also be wrong too. That has happened many times before. People have gotten it wrong. Very wrong in certain aspects. Now, what do I mean by this? Somebody be like, well, what do you mean? I don't get it. Well, like I said, it's very simple. Sometimes it's complex for others. But you have to know who you're pushing. Meaning, you could be dealing with somebody who you think you got figured out, and you're pushing this guy, whether you're pushing him for greatness, you're pushing him because you're bullying him, you're pushing him to the limit. Because you want to get a response, you want to get something out of this person. But you don't know that person or how far they're willing to go. What you have is an assumption of where this person is and how far this person is willing to go. Prime example. We always got great examples. Let's just say the guy's name is Fred. Right? Fred works at an accounting firm. Right? But Fred numbers are always off. Fred could do more, but Fred just don't go to the extra mile. Fred is always somebody who's coming up short or he's just doing the bare minimum. And this upsets Fred's boss because Fred's boss wants to see Fred go further and know Fred can do better. He can't fire Fred because Fred is basically doing his job. He just doesn't have that extra drive. So they push Fred and push Fred and push Fred. And he keep pushing Fred until one day Fred just flips out and does something unexpected. Fred comes in with a hammer and start bashing everybody upside the head. That was something they never expected from Fred, but that was part of the possibilities of things that could happen. When you push someone before you really know someone. Now, that's Paulie Malignaggi. Paulie Malignaggi just hit me up, so I will be checking to see what that's about. There's a lot of stuff been going on here. Right, Fred goes postal. Now, I say that to say this. There's a an instance in which this happened, where a man who's a family man, he's a black man working in Wisconsin, going to work every day, doing his job, loved his family. For reasons that they didn't want to go further into the investigation, all those people knew exactly what was going on in this scenario. They kept pushing the brother, making him do extra things while they sat there and didn't do nothing. They all sitting there chatting and talking at work. But they kept pushing the brother to make sure they on his back every time he stopped by and say hello to somebody at the vending machine. They go, hey, come on. We need you. Come on, man. We got to get you back to work. It's like, back to work, man. Y'all just been sitting there chatting with each other for 30, 40 minutes. Nobody said nothing to them. So there was no Black Lives Matter for him. There was no marching down the streets for none of these guys. Not at all. So in this instance, this guy goes into a place, airs everybody out. He goes in there, basically aired everybody out and took his life. It was all over the news, CNN, Fox News, the whole nine. And they were like, what drove this man? They trying to dig up and find some dirt on him, to crimes he did 20, 30 years ago that had nothing to do with what actually happened. So it's very easy to dig this up to find information because all this happened within a year. And once this happened in Wisconsin, the brother went and he selected his targets. I'm not saying they deserved to go or what they didn't do, but there was other things transpiring there that others didn't know. That the other black people, had they interviewed them, they would have told you why this was going on. So you got to be careful of who you push because you never know how great and what great lengths people are going to go to, or they might just snap. You think you know their limits and you don't. So you got to be careful in how you're pushing and motivating people. Sometimes you could push and they go in the right direction. Sometimes you push and you can go in the right direction, or you can go in the wrong direction. It's all depending on you. Exactly. Well, that's how it is, man. You push somebody, and next thing you know, you push too much, and now somebody's laid out. It could be something as innocuous as just telling them to do something while everybody else don't get to do anything. How many times you been at a job and your boss on your back, but he ain't on the back of the people he should be? He letting everybody else go. That'll make somebody explode. You go to your job and see that, you'll freak out. Now, see, here's the thing. They target certain people. Now, let's say Fred, for instance, they told Fred all of this stuff in the beginning before Fred went in there and went hammer time on everybody. If they'd have came at Fred like this from the very jump, do you know what would have happened? If Fred would have just said, "Oh hell no, I do my job. I bet I go to the union, or I'm going to HR right now. Come on, they gonna tell me I gotta do more. I did my work. I ain't doing nothing extra. Pay me more then." Fred would have said that. They'd have been like, "Whoa, be careful how we approach Fred." Have you noticed those guys get treated differently? This needs to be taught in school. It needs to be taught in a lot of places, but it's not mysteriously because it's a lot of foolery that goes on. You know, it's quite unfortunate, but it's the truth. Sometimes you can't get a read on people. You don't know what someone's going through exactly. So you have to be careful on the people you're pushing. Me, I had to notice certain things because I had to tell my buddy. My buddy used to always ride Tom. And this was when we worked at the warehouse. And Tom would always say, "You're cool." I swear, if a bomb went off in this place, you'd be the only guy I try to save. That told me that Tom would have killed everybody in that place except for me. And and I'm cool with that because I could read serial killer type of mentalities coming from Tom. Tom was very neat. Tom very rarely spoke to anybody. Mostly stayed to himself, talked to his family during breaks and lunches. Never really, mingled. He never was involved in any company functions. They had like company lunch. He'll just come get his food, go sit off. Now, that's a guy you don't want to mess with. You don't know what his hobbies are, you don't know what his likes are. But that didn't matter to Steve. Steve thought every time it was open mic at Zany's when Steve got up there. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Look at Cheryl coming in here with them old busted shoes on. Look at them big blocks. You should have just worn the shoebox, Cheryl. Oh, look at Tom with his "I'm happy to work here" tie. He just grabbed a microphone and go off every lunch period, and he's cracking people up. "I'm gonna build Def Comedy Jam. Watch." He did not. He was fired for sexual harassment 3 weeks later. But that's another story. Now, Bro, you must ain't been on the Patreon lately. It's been nothing but heat. And I'm like, geez, I'm trying to contain the heat down. I'm getting emails galore. Every day, it's another one coming up. I'm trying to lighten the mood. Then you don't have to pay it to Don Prince. They have other ones there. You got other tiers. If that's too expensive for you, then by all means. You can, there's other stuff on there for less. Look at that. Captain Law. Captain Law. Yep. Now they never tell you that about Larsa. What you learned today on the Patreon. And now you're gonna learn something else today. So they might not care about it, but other people gonna be like, God damn. I knew it. Well, let me get up out of here.